All right, here we go. G2 versus GenG. G2 has taken down two Eastern teams already to start the tournament, 2-0, but they're playing against a different class in opponent here. GenG has looked like the best team alongside with JDG in the brackets. So coming into the draft, we've got something a little bit weird to talk about here. Tristana Ezreal somehow is what we ended up with. Perhaps going into Lissandra support, perhaps going into Maokai's support. Probably, I mean, that can't be it, right? It's got to be Maokai jungle. We've seen Ezreal jungle in the past. I just don't know exactly how we end up with this composition. I feel super uncomfortable about it. It's going to be a tough going into this, stock standard, very powerful, top of the tier list. Xayah Rakan. We've got Sylas to grab these ultimates. We've got Lee Sin as well, better jungler in my opinion. And Jax just totally fine to play into the Renekton. That it seems like teams are willing to take both halves of this in the draft. Just a testament to how strong these champions are. So without further ado, let's go check out the game. All right, proactive starts. Oh, look at this. They're scouting. All right, this is an idea. They think that they have an exploit here on GenG Doran. This is where he likes to camp out. When you get a scouting report, what you want to do is find out the best way to take it over. Tristana jumping over the top. This is entirely exploitative. I like that Doran did not scale a skill to start. Broken Blade was not able to get the stun. Normally you don't want that stun because it makes the laning phase so much harder. So many resources used to no gain there. Got to feel bad for G2 when you expect to have that kill. Very much, playing in the fog of war, like what they did there to try to make it happen, but would have liked the execution to be better. Now, what they did adapt, it looks like they went for Tristana to go into Sylas. That's why they ended up swapping around and they moved Lissandra over to the support role. She does have a problem with cooldowns down in this spot, plus she's fairly low range with her ability to cast that W. It is very nice, but it's not going to do enough for them, I don't think. Interestingly, that we've got Maokai and Lee Sin both starting with blue. This is something that is fairly uncommon. Normally, Maokais are looking to start with Raptors or look to get some sort of path that is going to get an exploitation based on early paths. But right now, going to probably aim for opposite side clears. Maokai, of course, wanting to stay away from Lee Sin as much as possible. Broken Blade doing a good job playing aggressively here, stacking up his Fury. Daring the Jax, and this is what we've seen as an adaptation from these better teams, is daring the quote-unquote counter pick, or champion that is going to be very good at level 1 against you. It's like, all right, well, how good are you if I just walk up and start stacking my passive, especially when you have something like Doran's shield here. So Broken Blade able to get himself that advantage. We'll see if this plays into anything. For them, Maokai is clearing top to bottom, which means Renekton really wants this wave to crash, and he wants to get himself just like a longsword and come back to lane like this. We'll see whether or not he gets greedy and whether or not Lee Sin's able to get anything for himself. Doran cannot jump in until until Renekton already has his E leveled, which means that he gets to get out for free. Now he's going to come back with his 14 CS. You'd like to have 19. Obviously, there's going to be some amount of sacrificing done when you want to deal damage to the Jax. But you see how all these minions won't stop hitting the turret. Now, something you can go do, you can actually give up some of this CS and just grab this wave and hold it here to avoid this return, the rebound. But I think Doran is going to be happy playing in this situation because he's got his Lee Sin, which means he'll be able to stack up the wave. He knows that Lee Sin's nearby. He also knows that Lee Sin completely crushes any 2v2 with a Maokai. So Jax is going to be feeling very comfortable. Oh no, bad trade for Caps. This is potentially lane changing for him. This is not something you want to give up in this situation. Tristana needs to play from ahead and stay ahead. Sylas is willing to use some of his hit point bar as a resource, and then you can go in and look for your trades and say, all right, now I can go and use my W for full effect. Oh, Broken Blade, no, feels bad. Oh my god, did Doran think that this was going to happen anyways? Broken Blade was trying to stop the recalls so that he could get this freeze for himself, but it's not really that effective because you already have teleport available. Stuns are up. This is all playing into Peanut. Beautiful dodge by Broken Blade, realizing that there was engage here. My goodness, topsy-turvy for them up in the top lane. These auto attacks, by the way, very meaningful because they gain fury. Every auto attack is going to give Renekton fury, so that ward hop actually ends up biting them in the foot. It also means that Jax is going to go for finally able to go for this push. They do get the threaten into the crashed wave, and it means that he's going to get a better back off for himself. But I'm actually surprised that he teleports here. Largely, they do this to make sure that they're not late to level 6. But that means that you're teleporting into this situation where you have Maokai on your side of the map. Lee Sin did leave behind a ward for the Jax, but is it going to be enough, right? You're very much playing for the advantage here of Renekton. Beautiful spacing there. It looks like Yike was willing to sit back. Now, are they going to expend their resources to crash this wave? Could be interesting. What I'd prefer to see from Yike is actually just pushing up and then getting up into the wave and then just recall, right? From that bush, there's no real great play for Jax. Instead, we end up going for the shove. We've gotten more CS. Very much an uneven seesawing lane states here. Renekton going for his shop only has components here, which means he has basically lost out on this tremendously. So huge top lane advantage for GenG. They're also getting Jax out of this level 2 through 5 window where he's weaker. He's still going to be weaker at level 6 as well, and Renekton will be looking to use his Fury to try to swing that matchup. But volatile top lane. Meanwhile, Tristana was not able to get any solo kills here. That is something absolutely that they want to get when they swapped into these counter picks. So this draft is very much going to become a problem for them if they don't get anything else done. Now, lastly, you haven't touched much upon Lissandra's roaming ability. That is her biggest strength, is her ability to move over into lanes, jump over walls and find roots, and then keep people slowed down, which can be very effective for Tristana and Renekton, especially when you're coming into these good lane states. She hasn't opted to go for any roam timers now, and actually went for an early Ruby Crystal, which is very bizarre. Probably indicative of an Everfrost, but I'm surprised to not see the extra mana right off the bat. Perhaps they're just weighing into the fact that Xayah Rakan has a very threatening all-in, and she wants to be able to chip. The one advantage that you do have for yourself with an off-meta pick like that, the huge advantage I should say, is that you have much more familiarity with it than they do, and so you can potentially find more weaknesses or exploitations if you play it to its limit, right? Now, Lee Sin, looking to exercise his huge advantage over Maokai, is getting the first invade into the western quadrant. He's going to be able to take this camp for himself. No, he's not. He's actually walking into smite of the Maokai. A little bit imprecise right there. You'd like to be able to pull that up, pull the Gromp upwards and clear it out of vision so that Maokai can't know that you haven't finished it. Not only that, but it helps you to escape quicker. If you do need to get out, you can just ward hop over this wall right here. That was actually very good for G2. Yike is able to smite that away, and Renekton's able to play aggressively. Broken Blade will find himself this control ward very happily. We'll take that. This completely undoes the play from Rakan Silas. You see how they call this off. They did have multiple wards and the Scuttle Shrine for themselves, so they were thinking that maybe they could set something up in the top lane, maybe go for a 3v1. They end up calling it off. Rakan is going to rejoin, but Lissandra is here, and she's going to hide behind this wall. We'll see whether or not she goes. I like this play. You wait until the mid laner shows up by this mid lane bush before placing it, just in case they have vision and they see placements. You might make them think that that was Tristana that did it, when in fact it was Lissandra. Of course, they have vision because of this ward right here, so they won't be fooled this time around. Now, Ezreal versus Xayah. You're very happy to have Ezreal in the side lane because he can participate in these fights. But Pays on Xayah is going to have superior wave clear here. So she's going to be looking to shove this wave in and then potentially join. We'll see whether or not we get a stacked wave, whether or not Ezreal tries to fight for the wave using his ultimate, or whether or not he saves it to throw it up here for the fight. Maokai's going to start putting these saplings around, or these little astronaut alien babies. See if they can get themselves some amount of pressure. Lissandra being 5, this is actually somewhat of a liability. You're walking into range of Chovy's Silas. meaning that he's able to pick up that ultimate if he wants. But of course, most times, 9 times out of 10, if Maokai ultimate is available, you are going to take it and go from there. Oh, beautiful, just popping up, but catches it right as the E is going off. Oh my goodness, he's going super aggressive. Caps, we'll see if we get the maximum punish here. He's got the cooldown, didn't actually jump. You'd like to see the jump being used there. You can't really do it into the maw of Rakan because Rakan can always answer. But anytime that you're going to get that 4th proc off, you want to get the extra damage from the jump, and then you'll just have that cooldown available again. Opting not to go for it, goes for it now. We're going to see a big trade, might go for the big damage and the ultimate to answer that. Beautifully played by Caps, collapsing Chovy in the mid lane. Oh my goodness. All off the back of the aggressive play, trying to jump onto Mickey. Mickey will be 6, by the way, for the next time that comes up. We'll be able to self-ultimate and self-peel. I don't like that you're limit testing here, though. All right. Yes, it's an option that you can come up here and it's like, yay, neat, I can self-ult, and maybe it buys myself time, but it's like, why actually put yourself in a position where you have to? Unless you're getting something super meaningful for your team. So, good start right there. They're able to get that first blood. That is a big deal. Maokai can always one-shot these Raptors, so he does that for himself. One of the advantages that Maokai will have over the Lee Sin. It does look like he's going to be going Demonic Embrace first, which is we see some mixes of Radiant Virtue. Let's look at this path right here. Boom. Oh my goodness. In response to E2, so that the path means that he never actually comes up and is never able to get the healing from the W. Very nicely done there by Caps. Now this Demonic Embrace playstyle, though, does have a big problem where you know, it does go halfway. It kind of meets you halfway. It gives you a little bit of chip while you're still looking to build for Radiant Virtue later. We'll see. Oh, we still get the stun here. It gives you this like halfway build where you can start chipping. You can throw your saplings out. The Demonic Brace is nice. It's really good for the clear as well. You deal lots of damage to the camps, but that's going to delay the Radiant Virtue, which means this all-in value on the Maokai is going to be lower. Jack's actually getting some favorable trades here. Multiple times, Broken Blade actually getting hit up by the stuns here. I love these grass procs, this empowered Sheen attacks. Jax is taking it to the Renekton here. A couple of missteps there by Broken Blade. Allowing the stun to hit is a huge swing in this matchup. Anytime you get hit by that Counter-Strike, that's where this matchup swings. Obviously, the huge one is don't get your W blocked. But anytime that the Counter-Strike actually connects on you is going to be a chance for Jax to deal extra meaningful damage. He also gets that extra range on the auto attack from his W. We'll see if this turns into a weak point for them. Oh, Broken Blade actually using his teleport to stop back here. This is actually super important. Jax has no mana, so there's no punish available to them. Means that they can't do anything. Chovy stealing the Lissandra ult. We saw that. Just huge effects. Broken Blade threatening the all-in. There is no mana here. There might be enough for 1 Q, or the 1 Counter-Strike, even better. But that's going to be it. Actually, how did he gain mana back? Did he just level? He just leveled. Okay. A level up spike saving Jax. We'll see if Renekton tries to proxy. I would have preferred to see him step ahead and grab the wave right there, and that would have given him a better timer right here with more gold. Seemingly inconsequential because it's going to be Gore Drinker anyways. So it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but maybe that's, you know, an extra control ward, for example, that you can sit on and wait for those big fights. Most of these teams tend to not care about the top laner getting these control wards, opting instead to try to manifest as much of that wallet diff as possible. Right now, Gore Drinker versus Divine Sunder. This is going to be the moment where Jax starts flipping the matchup in his favor. All right, we'll see if we get another outplay. Beautiful job to go there, but you're into the teeth of the Lee Sin. He kicks you into Q2, going for as much damage as possible. They're going to get the second half of this as well. Craps. So we've got claps and we've got claps from Caps. Cap. Too deep, too deep. Dragons 1-1. Doran's going to have this advantage in the top lane, always with Divine Sunderer from here on out. We also have Gore Drinker done. Lee Sin always going to be stronger than Maokai in all of these chip fights. if we get an all in. Maokai just looking to use the saplings, but we have a big teleport coming in behind. It looks like they're trying to play aggressively. Lissandra does have ultimate. The question is whether or not you're using it for self-peel here or to put it onto Chovy. Obviously, you want to get it onto Chovy to make sure that they're not able to take the rest of the damage. But Rakan is looking, flash engage, beautifully done. We do end up with the Zonias to stay alive here. Now, this is very interesting. Are we going to see an Echoes build here? This is very interesting. I want to see what this is turning into. Probably just Even Shroud. Maokai, what an angle. How do you allow that angle to miss short? You're trolling. If you're Maokai and you throw along this angle, there is a chance that they run past it. If you throw it at a much deeper angle, right, then you say, okay, they have to come back to dodge it. Coming backwards, always better when you have the numbers advantage. You force them to dodge by coming back to you, and then you can take that advantage for yourself and take that fight. Use it as a zoning ultimate. Instead, they just run away, which means they get nothing. Similar story from here, from Chovy, right? That ultimate should have been so that the right tendril would miss only if you moved all the way into the dragon pit. There's no reason to aim that shallow. We see some imprecisions here from the Maokai ultimates. At least we trade 1 for 1 in that sense. Sylas will have access to their ultimate sooner. That's one of the big reasons why Sylas is so strong into Maokai. Not only do you have a better ultimate because you have better AP on it, or you get to build AP and you get better usage of it, but also because you have a shorter cooldown, which means that you can basically take Maokai's ultimate on cooldown while also borrowing other people's, especially once you get to that level 16 breakpoint. Now let's see, Mickey X, level 7 on Lissandra, clearly going for a playmaking style build, but slowing the build down. Going for this lucid start means that he's going for lots of flash engages, and they very much want to go. Let's see the engage here. Lee Sin finds the first kick. Mickey's going to step up and dare them to come in. He's like, hey, I've got self-peel. Do you really want to do this? Chovy says, yes. We're going to corral you here, push you out. They're going to draw this line of scrimmage, and then they're going to take prio mid. So the goal right here wasn't necessarily to take the fight. They do want to push them off. This is something you can always do for yourself. If you're second to Herald, they've committed to the pit. You can control the area to the right of the pit, and then you can claim that prio to take the top lane first. Now, I actually love this answer from G2. This is something they've been good at, super proactive plays. They're saying, okay, you want to take mid prio? We're going to answer that by immediately dropping the Herald for full damage on this lane. They should go for the all-in here with Renekton, but they give Chovy an opportunity to take the Lissandra ult and jump into the whole team. Means they've got a completely one-sided fight here. Renekton finally does join, but it might be too little too late. Or is it? Broken Blade still super strong, but realizing now that he's alone, the rest of the team has left him to die. That is unfortunate. Ezreal, not realizing how strong Renekton is in this moment, could have gone for more there. Means that GenG takes the big prize there. They do end up dropping multiple turrets, so this Herald does end up costing them a lot. But let's look at how this goes out. Big engage. This is where they feel like they've lost, right? What ended up killing this turret? Just dutifully going on the damage. Let's see if Han Sama could have gotten more. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Jax, you could have continued to poke. Yes, you do need to get out, because once Pays does join the fight, you're absolutely going to lose. So you know what? They're fine. Getting out was completely fine. Broken Blade peeling the entire team. One extra person dying to make sure that everyone can stay alive is a fine trade, especially since you've got that full K value on the inner turret. That is also always going to be a permanent source of weakness, potentially something that you can exploit, trying to get slow pushes in the top lane. We'll see if Tristana has the wherewithal to slow push, or if she's going to fast push this wave. Looks like they're opting for a fast push. I hate this. Talked about it ad nauseum. By fast pushing, you relinquish. You actually turn it all into kinetic energy, and you gain nothing from it. Right now, you just have to walk away, and this lane just sits here, and whoever is going to come collect it, you'd rather it be stacking up 2 or 3 or even 4x, right? You can get 4 times stacked waves and then crash that in, and then you're threatening the base. And then when you move, they have to send someone over. Right now, you just give them the choice whether or not to send. There's no way that you're going to deal enough meaningful damage there. Here's the fight in the bot wave. Chovy having so many juicy ultimates, picks up the Renekton one. So many stats that you gain off of it, but you don't get the Abyssal Mask sorts of benefits from it. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised that hit even hit. Oh, it's a sap. It was that sapling that killed them? Wow. Okay. Power to the Maokai. So yeah, like I was saying with Chovy, picking up the Renekton, it's a beautiful bundle of stats and AoE damage that you have, but it's not giving you extra fury. You know, the extra fury is not doing anything for your spells. You're not, you know, getting empowered spells or anything like that. So it is nice and tanky. You get the extra health, but it is definitely worse than these two ultimates. Those are the ones that you want to be targeting. Late game, we might get a situation where Silas picks up the Ezreal ultimate and just uses it to throw it cross map to like answer the backline minions. See if that ever comes up. Now we go post 20 minutes. It's all about mid lane prio, river prio, who can control this area of the map, and then who's going to have the inside track for Baron, what they can do with it once they get there. These double AD comps tend to want to 3 tanks. Now, Lissandra's kind of tanky. She's going to build very similar to a Nautilus. She's going to function very similar to a Nautilus, apart from the ability to long-range engage and kind of safely do it. She's going to have to dive into the middle of the fight. We'll see if she goes for Zonya's second or whether or not she goes for more damage amp. Usually, it tends to be that your life does not matter. Oh my god. The Observer noticing that he chooses to go after the caster minion instead of the cannon. It's a felt little 75 gold difference there. So yeah, super intrigued to see where they end up going. Triforce plus Mirror Mana done here. 21 minutes is when Ezreal is starting to feel comfortable. Most Ezreals have been going Cyrilda's Grudge here. Begrudgingly, in my opinion. I wish they would go for more Ravenous Hydras and then go for the wave clear. Make sure that they're super safe in those situations. Tristana jumping in. Let's see. A little bit of the mitigation of the damage. Good job by Doran there, using the E at the last tick so that he can deny some of the damage. Tristana taking over this side lane. The jumps are not going to favor Tristana here. Trolling. And nobody's in position. Now, if you had people presenting strength and positional power over by Baron, you'd happily int one person on your team in exchange for all of the effects that we had there. This is Jax's flash, his ultimate, the fact that you moved Rakan over with his swiftness. You could have come over and taken the Baron in the meantime with 3 people down bot. You still might be able to do it with the fact that they're missing so many resources. The wards are down. Rakan has replenished though. He quickly went back to base and immediately went back to the Baron. Thanks to the Hex gates here. Interesting little interaction there. Because you have this ward, it means that you actually have vision, and that sapling went and aggroed on the other side of the wall. That's actually something you'd rather not have happen. So that means Maokai's gonna have to tuck their saplings halfway into this. By the way, something we rarely mention, but you see how this control ward is placed about 1 Teemo's width outside the ward. This is important because if there's a ward right here, a control ward tucked on the wall will not see it. Similar to the pits, if you have a control ward tucked all the way into the corner or the edge of the pit, it will not see vision wards on the opposite side. So like to see those precisions. I expect these pro teams to have those, but sometimes it's worth commenting. Broken Blade taking a big chunk of damage to start off, 30% of his health. Going to mean that his Sterix gauge might get popped by accident. That is certainly something you never want to have happen. You never want to have Sterix gauge going off unless you're ready to go for the fight. Let's see, Jax is looking for a recall. Might have 2 items now. If he does, this is going to favor GenG, they get the quick in dragon, they're going to step out, but this engage is going to come. Chovy with a huge Maokai ultimate. Yike is going to try to stop them on the other side. He's going to try to peel too. Let's see if they can take the fight to 3. Nope, that's a mistake. G2's trying to retreat. The best way out was in that case. Enemy team is stronger. They have a super fed Jax. The one interaction that you can try to get off of them is that Maokai can peel the 2 while ulting the 3. And then you can go and try to create a 4v3 or even a 5v3 by Maokai stepping up. But ideally, that's what you want. They end up continuing their retreat. You're going to see that Hansama is not going to have 100% uptime here. Moving back, Broken Blade's going forward. He tanks it for the team. That's great. But right here, everyone needs to be doing permanent uptime. They need to be hitting. You see how these guys are not dealing damage? That means that it buys enough time for Doran to wipe through the Maokai, and he comes up and cleans up the fight. So needs to be executed better there by G2. Beautifully done by GenG. There was a window there. I'm going to give props to Yike. He did everything possible to turn that in their favor. But again, this double AD comp with this fairly light low HP composition is not going to be able to frontline enough for the carries. Means that GenG is able to get on top of them. They're able to snowball this into the Baron. Are they also going to get Broken Blade? Probably not. They ignore him. They walk out. It actually could have been a window where a enraged Renekton could have maybe taken that fight. I know what G2 is trying to do there. They're saying, all right, you use tons of abilities, tons of ultimates in that fight. Maybe we still have some value that we didn't get to use. Here is the Baron execute. This is thanks to the Hex gates. Chovy going in. Mickey going deep. Was it all a bait? Doesn't get his self ult off. Maybe didn't even have it. One of the things that you do have going for you at this stage, one of the few things, Maokai will have his ultimate again, and Sylas will not have Maokai's ultimate again, right? There's that little ingrained timer where you're always going to have 20 seconds longer than the champion that you steal it from. Even though the individual timer goes down and gets very low, you still can't steal the same person's ultimate for another 20 seconds. So G2 is going to have a tough time coming back from here. Pays basically dealing 100% uptime in all of these fights, which cannot be said for Caps and Hansama on their 80 carries. So we have marksman diff, kinda, guys. Peanut stepping up. You've got stopwatches in inventory. Look at this. Control wards, stopwatches. I bet you have elixirs from the mages as well, making sure that they put all of their eggs into this basket. It is time to end the game. They're going to use this Baron for everything. You will get all of that gold back and more by breaking these structures. They've already got the inner down in mid. They're also going to aim for this one up in top. Meanwhile, Jax is already trying to deal some damage versus Caps. Now, Caps saying, all right, I can limit test here. Your E is on cooldown. I get to deal some meaningful damage. That's very well done. But the jump is on a much longer cooldown. They're able to get Broken. I like how Broken Blade waited until the engage to get his R off. This means that they do get a one-sided trade here. Very well done here. Mickey jumping in. Izzy can have the follow-through damage. They don't get enough on the lockdown. They're too afraid of Doran coming in, and Zaya's job is just a little bit too easy, dealing that front-to-back damage. Doran just jumping all over the place, dodging tons of damage. I love how this guy's playing his Jax here. Neat fights. I like that G2 found a little window to go for it. I think GenG did not need to step up on that, even though they had a long range potential for an engage. I like how Broken Blade waited to the last possible second to turn on his ultimate. Watch how he does this. Chovy using the Maokai ultimate. This is great. Good angle. Boom. You wait. Oh, you turn it on. The moment you see that Delight jumps into the team right there, or that Peanut goes for the flash kick, you turn on the ultimate right away. Means that you're able to try to get some amount of extra health for this fight. It's not actually enough to keep him alive. Croc bites the dust. Oh no, that's not what you want. Mickey, nice try. Chovy has just been dominating on this Sylas, as we saw all last year. A lot of skill expression. Love to see Sylas at Worlds. Fun champion to see. Kind of overpowered. Take advantage of it in your solo queue games. It hasn't been nerfed. They weren't allowed to nerf it, right? They patched 1320 before any games were played at Worlds, as asinine as I think that is. But it does mean that you have some time to play Sylas in your games if you want. Now, there we go. Cyrilda's Grudge on Ezreal. Ill-fated Ezreal build. I really dislike that people go for the Cyrilda's Grudge. I'd much rather see the Ravenous Hydra so you can keep control of the lanes. You can keep yourself at 100% HP. Yes, the slow is very nice for the fights, but I'd like to see it wait for fourth item. There are some moments where I'd actually see tier finish Triforce if that's what you're going for, but Ravenous Hydra right off the bat, it is the better single item spike. I know why they don't do it. Trinity Force is very, very strong and they want to have some amount of combat capacity, but Ravenous Hydra is really good at controlling those waves, keeping you topped off, making you be able to play super aggressively as well. Now, GenG, 7.5k gold lead. Most of the structures are down, and they have an exposed inhibitor. So we're probably going to see 4 people sieging mid and Jax sieging an adjacent lane. Probably opposite Baron up until there's 1 minute left. Sometimes you like to go and move over. In this case, it looks like Jax is very happy to just clear this wave. He's going to take the timer for himself now. Has the cooldown build here, and it looks like he's going to be going for Frozen Heart next, which is a great adaptation against double marksman composition. Means that he's going to have basically permanent uptime on his Counter-Strike, and the Zhonya's will take care of that one moment when he doesn't have it. Baron is up. Hex gates are in play. Look at how they take control of the Western Quadrant but before trying to do anything else. Interesting play there by Caps, opting to try to tank the Maokai route. I love that he's thinking at that level, but it's just not enough. It means that they can't deal any chip damage back into the stopwatches. Doran dives into the fight, and this is a complete wash. I like the idea, right? He's stepping up, trying to buffer his jump with the fact that he's tanking it for the team, but it's your job to carry, friend. You need to be the one carrying the damage in the fight. I'd rather see you let Lissandra take that damage and self-ult, for example, right? Like, that's the ideal situation. They try to dive on top of Lissandra. She self-ults, and in that time frame, you have both of the AD carries dealing their maximum amount of damage back. Now they're going to rip this one apart. Doran is going to save his teleport for this minion. Oh, he actually misses. No, he doesn't. All right, he got the right one. That's just on me. And they clean up the fight. You use the teleport to stop the turrets, and a very nice game from GenG.